Hey mathematicians, this week we are going to be talking about graphing again. And this week we're going to be talking about how you can make a line plot and how you can make a bar graph. So I want to talk about line plots. And one of the first things that I want to talk about with line plots and bar graphs is you have to label your information. So, for example, when I look at this line plot here, I've created a line plot and I've given values 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 9. Now, I may not need all of those, but I have to go in order. So I can't just have 1 and then 4 and then 7 and then 3 and then 9. Okay, I have to, even if I have like 0 2s in my data set, I still have to include it if I have things on the other side of it. So the first thing you need to do is label what these are. So these numbers, are they, number of homes people own, number of animals people own? What are they? Well, my data says here's a set of how many cookies students are having after school. So I'm going to label this cookies. I'm going to make that just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to label this cookies. So I know that when I see this, that means that, okay, they're having how many cookies. And then along here, I'm going to label, again, number of people. So when I look at this, if I have 2 x's over 1, I know that 2 people had 1 cookie after school. So in order to make a line plot, you're going to look at the data set and you're going to put these values on here. So the first one says 1, so we're going to put an x, we're going to put an x on 1. Then the next one says 4. Then 5. Then 1 again. Then 3. You notice that in my data set they're not in order, but I'm putting them in order in my line plot. So 6, then 2, then 1, then 4, then 6 again. So I'm putting all of these values that I see here in my line plot. So 2 and then 3 is my last one. Right. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I put all of this data into my line plot. So what you're going to do now is you're finished making your line plot. And we can notice some things about this, like how many people or which number of cookies had the most people. So, for example, there are 4 people who had 1 cookie after school. So the most amount of people had 1 cookie after school. The least amount of people had 5 cookies after school. And then only 2 people had 6 cookies. So you can tell a lot of information, but this is a great way to organize information so that you can figure out a lot of things about it. You could figure out which one is the most popular, least popular, how many people there were total. You can figure out a lot of stuff. So you're going to be creating line plots this week, and it's going to kind of go the same way, but you're going to be making it on paper, okay? So now I want to talk about bar graphs. So bar graphs, you'll notice here that mine are going by 5s. And that's fine. Yours might be going by 1s or 2s or 3s, as long as you can fit what you're going to. So I notice here, when I was reading my question, 55 is my largest number. So my graph is going to have to go at least to 55. If it doesn't go at least to 55, then I'm not going to be able to fit my information on here. Now, you'll notice here that these numbers, what do they mean? Well, they're the number of people. Okay, so if my bar graph goes up to here, that means 10 people were doing something. If it goes up to here, that means 35. So I'm going to read my question because I need to label my axis. So your left side is pretty much going to be the number, and then the bottom is going to be the type of data that you're collecting. So at school today, there were 55 people wearing red, 25 people wearing pink, 35 wearing green, and 27 wearing blue. So I'm going to label this at the bottom. I'm going to label this shirt color. So along the bottom, or the x-axis, I'm going to have all these different shirt colors. So the first one I have is red. So I'm going to have two, say red. And I'm going to put red right here. So my bar graph for red is going to go here. Now I'm just going to skip a spot and then go to pink. So I'm going to put all of my data in here. So green, and then the last one is blue. All right, so I have all of those. So red, green, pink, green, and blue. So all of this data has to be shown in my graph. So I'm going to look. How many people were wearing red? 55. So in order to show that, I'm going to create a bar graph that goes up to 55. Okay. And I am actually going to redo that. So I'm going to make this color, since the thing is red, I'm going to make it red this time. All right. So red goes up to 55. So there were 55 people wearing red. Now for pink, there were how many people? 25. So I'm going to create a bar graph that shows that there were 25 people wearing pink. Like that. See how the top of my bar goes to 25? 35 people wearing green. Let's do this green. So I'll create another bar graph that goes up to 35. Boom. So 35 people were wearing green. And the last one is blue. So this one says 27. And you'll notice I don't have a 27 on here. So I need to use some different thinking. Well, 27 is bigger than 25, but not bigger than 30. So it's going to be between 25 and 30. And a little bit closer to 25 than it is to 30. So 27 is actually going to be between those two lines. So when I look at this data again, you can tell a lot of information here. Like red had the most number of people, pink had the least number of people wearing it, and then blue was next, green was next, and then red was most. So you're going to be creating bar graphs, and it's important that you label your things. And you don't necessarily have to color your bar graphs. I did, just so that you could see them clearly. But you're going to have to put numbers along the side so that you can see how many people or whatever data you're tracking, the number in your bar graph. The whatever that thing is, maybe it's dog types, or maybe it's shirt color like I did. You're going to need a label on both sides and then labeling what each bar graph is. So blue shirts, green shirts, pink shirts, and red shirts, okay? So that's just how you create line plots and bar graphs, and you're going to be doing that this week, actually on paper and taking a picture and inserting them into Google Slides.